The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
This is The Sports Source, presented by Bill Hotz and Associates, and by Renewal by Andersen, with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source, presented by Bill Hotz and Associates. Tennessee loses to Kentucky last night, as you know. That is just the second loss to the Wildcats for Tennessee since 1984. However, it's also the second since 2011, so it's becoming more common around here. We'll talk about the game a little bit. The bigger issue is Tennessee drops to 0-5 in the SEC. Your offense still struggles. Change is coming, just a matter of when will it come, and we'll discuss that, what the plan is now, if there's a plan at all. We'll discuss all of it. Let's dive right into this first segment of our program, brought to you by Bill Hotz and Associates. Folks, everyone has a lawyer joke. Even lawyers tell lawyer jokes. But if you or a loved one is the one that's injured in an accident by a careless driver, it's no longer a laughing matter at that point. Then it becomes serious, and you should get serious representation from the team that's won tens of millions of dollars for their clients over the last 30 years, Bill Hotz and Associates. You see their website right there. I know these people, they're good folks. Bill Hotz and Associates. All right, I want to welcome in the good people I have for our first segment today. We've got kind of a smaller crew today, so I welcome in round one. We have Jimmy Hyams right here, Josh Ward right there, VFLs, Bobby Scott and Sterling Hinton down on that end. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. We always start with headlines, and let's go to the first one here. Not if, when. All right. Now, I was told last week by someone in the UT athletic department that 8-4 might save Butch Jones. That's what I was told. 8-4 might do it. Well, you can't hit 8-4 anymore. Therefore, it's my belief that his tenure will end, and it is only a matter of time before the announcement is made. We'll discuss the whole timing thing in a few minutes. But Jimmy, your sources had a little bit different. You had a little different word in terms of maybe a 7-5 would save him, but not with Kentucky. So where are you right now?
Yeah, I was told 8-4 he would be back. I was told 7-5 maybe, but that only loss would be to LSU. If he lost to Kentucky, he wasn't coming back. So 7-5 only if the loss was to LSU. I'd think that the die has pretty much been cast. There is no press conference call for today. There's not one call for this week regarding Butch Jones' status. I was told expect him to coach against Southern Miss. That's the last I've heard.
But that does not mean
that he will survive.
That he will survive. The interesting thing then, and we'll get into it, we'll get way into it in the next segment, but if you know he's not going to survive, then why don't you make that announcement now? And we'll discuss that, because I think that would alleviate. We've talked on this show do you need to do it now? Or, would an interim coach save the recruiting class? No. Does this mean you can hire a coach immediately? Nobody's going to be hired until the end of the month. However, by letting it play out, you've given him opportunities, and they haven't cashed in. So I think I'm starting to feel like the fans a little bit. It's like, what are you waiting on at this point? If you know it's done, why wait? We'll discuss that a little later. All right. Josh Ward, Bobby Scott, and Sterling Hinton, here is your headline I want to talk to you about. Right. We got it. Blue Sunday. Fats Domino passed away this week, so I thought we'd come close to Blue Monday. But anyway, Tennessee had 4 takeaways last night. I used to run these numbers from MrSEC.com. It's 1 in a million where you get 4 turnovers and lose the ball game. They outgained Kentucky. They had better time of possession than Kentucky. Still found a way to lose. Gentlemen, your thoughts on last night's game against Kentucky?
The reason they lost is because they didn't put the ball in the end zone. They had to kick field goals, and when you have to kick field goals, you're going to lose the ball game. I mean, that's just it's been that way for as long as I can ever remember.
Gentlemen, anybody else? Thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that a number of things. One, you're an underdog against Kentucky, which is a statement itself going into the game. So what do you try to do when you're trying to make up the difference? You force turnovers, but you have to capitalize on those turnovers. And Tennessee didn't. And Tennessee still found, at least didn't enough. And Tennessee still found ways to hurt itself. If it's +5 in the turnover margin, then maybe it walks away with the win. If there's a catch, then that's how much it took, because the offense, while it made some progress and got into the end zone, still showed again it still has a lot of limitations holding it back.
Jimmy, on your show Friday, we were going to through the keys of the game, and I said, just one more. Penalties. This offense is not good enough to commit penalties and overcome them. Sterling, they cost themselves 100 yards, and the penalty yardage was one thing, but when you're taking the plays off the board, like the Chandler touchdown run, some other, they just beat themselves on offense again and again. As a former quarterback, how frustrating to watch. I mean, what is this, 3 games in a row you've gotten inside the 5 and had a false start or a snap infraction that backed you up? Your thoughts on watching an offense that just can't seem to get out of its own way?
It's unfortunate, and it's so frustrating as a quarterback because down in the red zone, every yard is important. You get inside that 20. If you get the ball at the 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, and you get 2 yards on the first down, and you get 3 yards on the second down, now it's 3rd and 5 on the 15. The defense is concerned about you playing 4-down football. They worry about you getting a first down and or a touchdown, but you can't take those yards away from yourself, and that's an unfortunate mishap that's happened to our offense too many times inside the red zone.
Jimmy?
One other note on the turnovers, too, that really got me is that it's one thing to force a turnover on your own 20-yard line or your own 30. 3 of these occurred in Kentucky's territory, and the other one was on your 44.
That's a great point.
And you got 3 field goals out of that?
I mean, the first to start the game, you get it in the red zone.
Yeah.
You have to kick a field
And so many times you get the ball, like you said, in the red zone. But you have a couple of times you had penalties, motion penalties on the offensive line. They were, moving too quick. And when you have to go from, 1st and 10 to 1st and 15, it really takes the chances of getting the first down. It really, hampers it.
I was on the phone with Bob Hodge last night during the series when they get down to inside the 5. One of the ones they got down to the 1-yard line, and on the phone he's sitting there with some people there, and we're talking. He says, "All right, what do you got?" And I said, "I'm gonna go false start." And I hear one of his sons say, "No, I'm gonna go sack." Well, it was a snap infraction, so I think that counts as false start. And then it was the sack. I mean, when you've gotten to the point where you can kind of predict what will go wrong, and it does. That's not a good place to be for your offense. And the problem is it just looks – it's like there's nothing you can lean on. There's nothing that is consistent about that offense at this point. And I don't know what you do to change that at this stage in the season. I don't see it
It's
becoming
tough.
better.
Although I'll say this, I was surprised at how effective Tennessee ran the football without John Kelly. I thought the offensive line had one of its best games run blocking.
Run blocking, yeah.
Can't say that about pass protection, but the run blocking, I thought there were holes. You give Chandler those 80 yards, you're talking about almost 300 yards rushing in this game. So I thought they did a nice job with that. I thought Chandler looked really good. I thought Carlin Fields and me looked good. And I thought Garantano made some progress offensively, but still, you've got to capitalize more on the breaks that you got. You got to put it in the end zone. Tennessee didn't do that enough.
You could have made a bingo board on the mistakes, and a lot of people would have walked away with prizes.
Yeah. All right. Guys, we got to catch a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about why is Tennessee still waiting, and also if Florida makes a move with Jim McElwain, does that impact Tennessee and John Curry's thinking? Come on back on the Sports Source.